Okay, for number 4 on homework 7, we have a function and they're asking us to use the 4-step process to find the derivative of the function. My function is 8 plus 2x squared. Yours might be different, but the process is still the same. If you're shaky on the 4-step process, go back and watch the video for number 3, and that'll walk you through it. I'm probably going to move a little bit faster this time, so if you need the refresher, go back and watch video 3 for this particular homework set. So the first thing they need us to do is find r of x plus h. And that just means plugging in an x plus h into any x's in the original function. So that's going to give me 8 plus 2 times x plus h squared. I just plugged the x plus h in where I had an x. So now I'm going to have to algebra this sucker, and it's going to give me x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Let's go ahead and distribute that 2. That's going to give me 8 plus 2x squared plus 4xh plus 2h squared. And that's exactly what we need for step 1 of the 4-step process. Step 2 says r of x plus h minus r of x. So what they want is exactly what we found up here, this piece right here, minus the original function. So I need to copy down exactly what I had in the first step, which is a lot. And then I need to subtract the original function. Make sure you put the original function in parentheses when you write it down. So I just plugged in r of x here, but put it in parentheses because otherwise this minus sign is going to give you headaches. So let's get back to the algebra. 8 plus 2x squared plus 4xh plus 2h squared minus 8 minus 2x squared. And hopefully, if everything worked out right, there's a lot of canceling that can be done. So 8 minus 8, that's 0. 2x squared minus 2x squared, that's 0. So that leaves us with 4xh plus 2h squared. Okay? So that's step 2. We found r of x plus h minus r of x. Step 3 says r of x plus h minus r of x over h. So I take exactly what I found in my last step, 4xh plus 2, oops, I said 2, I wrote h, plus 2h squared over h. And I can simplify that. That h is going to cancel with this one and one of these, and that's going to leave me with 4x plus 2h. And that's what my answer for this step 3 is. So I've found step 1, tacked on what they needed for step 2, divided by h in step 3. Step 4, that's going to give me the first actual answer that I'm looking for, is to take the limit as h approaches 0 of r of x plus h minus r of x over h. But that's just the limit of what we found in the last step. So the limit, oops, I'm running out of lead here, as h approaches 0 of 4x plus 2h. Well, you plug your 0 in for the h here because this is as simplified as it can get, and that'll give us 4x plus 0, which is 4x. So this tells us, once we get to the end of step 4, once we take that limit, that r prime of x, or the derivative of our original function, equals 4x. So that's going to be your first answer. Okay? And then in my case, they're asking me for r prime of 1, r prime of 2, and r prime of 3. And now we just need to plug these numbers into our derivative. So that's going to be 4 times 1, and that's 4. That's my second answer. 4 times 2, that's 8. That's my third answer. And 4 times 3, well, that's 12. And that's my fourth answer. So this one's a little bit different from the first one we did. The first one we did in number 3 was a bit different in that once we got to the point where we were taking the limit, there was nowhere to plug in an h. And so it turned out once we found our derivative, all of the answers were exactly the same. In this case, because we still have a variable in our derivative once we've taken everything, once we've taken the limit, we still had that x. We had a place to plug stuff into, so our answers were different once we got down here. That's the four-step process. You just want to make sure that you are doing each step along the way, and each step that you take, this first step, I was able to just plug that right into the second step. Once you've solved all of that, that's the first part that you need for the third step. Once you've solved that, that's what you need for the fourth step. And it just kind of all falls into place from there. And that is the four-step process to find the derivative of 8 plus 2x squared at a few different points here that they've given us.